Commander Verity Krause's knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of the tactical display. The massive alien vessel, nearly 3 times the size of her UNDF Resolute, loomed on the view screen, its crystalline protrusions gleaming with an internal bioluminescence that pulsed in time with what she assumed was some kind of communication. "They're not responding to any hails, Commander," Lieutenant Orion Malvern reported, his normally steady voice tight with tension. "Our translation matrix is running, but they're either ignoring us or..." The ship rocked violently as energy lanced from the alien vessel, slicing through the Resolute's forward shields like they were tissue paper. "Breach on deck C. Hull integrity compromised in sections 17 through 22, shouted Tactical Officer Daya Nishimura. "Return fire?" Weapons Officer Kalev Rask asked, finger hovering over the defense grid controls. "Negative," Krause commanded. "First contact protocols are still in effect. Ready evacuation pods for the research team." The alien ship fired again. This time, the Resolute shuddered as its port stabilizers failed. "They're targeting our engines," Malvern observed. "Not trying to destroy us, just disable." The view screen flickered as an alien face appeared. Vaguely insectoid with multiple compound eyes arranged in a crescent above what seemed to be breathing apparatus. Its carapace shimmered with iridescent patterns that shifted as it moved. "Human. Vessel," the translation matrix rendered in text beneath the alien's image. "You have violated Vexathi Imperium space. Your ship and crew are now property of the Orokai Clutch. Resistance will result in termination." Commander Krause stepped forward. "This is neutral territory according to Galactic Concord charts. We're on a peaceful scientific mission and..." The alien made a chittering sound that the translation couldn't process. "Your concord is meaningless. The strong take what they wish. The weak submit or perish. This is universal law." The transmission cut off abruptly as tractor beams enveloped the Resolute. "They're pulling us in," Nishimura reported. "Boarding parties likely." Krause's mind raced. 27 crew members, mostly scientists, against whatever combat force these Vexati could deploy. The nearest UNDF vessel was the Dauntless, at least 3 days away at maximum FTL. "Encrypt all data cores," she ordered. "Implement protocol Omega-9. The bridge crew exchanged glances. Omega-9 was the scorched Earth protocol. Destroy all advanced technology rather than let it fall into hostile hands. "Commander," Malvern said, quietly, "the research team's findings on the quantum entanglement drive..." "I know. 3 years of work. Humanity's breakthrough into instantaneous travel technology. The very reason they'd ventured this far into uncharted space to test it away from populated areas. As the Resolute was drawn inexorably toward the alien vessel's docking bay, Krause activated her neural implant's emergency beacon, a quantum-linked signal that would reach Earth regardless of distance. It would carry only the most basic information, their coordinates and a single code phrase, "Broken Arrow." The Vexathi were about to learn that taking humans captive was the worst mistake they could make. They saw humanity's laws of peaceful contact as weakness. They would soon discover the other laws, the ones written in steel and fire, forged over centuries of survival against all odds. Laws that the human warship Dauntless would soon arrive to enforce. The holding cell aboard the Vexathi vessel hummed with an unsettling bioresonance that made Verity's teeth ache. 17 days since their capture, and the aliens had separated the crew, interrogating them individually about human technology, particularly the quantum drive schematics they'd been so eager to acquire. "Commander," Dr. Kadri Ozdemir whispered, from the adjacent cell. The xenobiologist had lost weight, her cheekbones sharp beneath bruised skin. "I've been observing their behavioral patterns. They operate on strict hierarchies, queen-led clutches vying for dominance. The Orokai appear to be middle tier in their society." Verity nodded. "Explains why they're so desperate for tech advantages." The cell door slid open with a wet, organic sound. 2 Vexathi guards entered. their segmented exoskeletons clicking as they moved. Behind them stood a larger specimen with elaborate gold filigree embedded in its carapace. Hierarch Vrex. Verity acknowledged the alien she'd come to know as their chief interrogator. The Vexati's mandibles twitched in what she'd learned indicated amusement. You learn quickly for prey species. The translation device on his thorax buzzed. Today you meet Clutch Queen Zivax. Prepare yourself. They escorted Verity through corridors that seemed partly grown rather than constructed. The ship itself a hybrid of technology and biology. Bioluminescent nodules pulsed along the walls, casting eerie blue-green light that made human skin appear corpse-like. The throne chamber stretched impossibly high, its walls lined with thousands of translucent sacs containing developing Vexathi, larvae. On a raised dais sat the most massive of their species Verity had seen, nearly 4 meters tall, with a carapace that shimmered with constantly shifting patterns of light. Kneel before Clutch Queen Zivax, Vrex commanded. Verity remained standing. Humans don't kneel to those who take prisoners through deception. The guard's appendages twitched toward weapons, but the queen made a sharp clicking sound that halted them. Your defiance is unusual. The queen's translation came through with greater fluency than the others. Most species understand their place when defeated. We are not defeated, Verity replied, merely delayed. The queen's compound eyes glittered. Your vessel is dismantled, your crew scattered through my ship, your homeworld ignorant of your fate. Yet you speak of delay, not defeat. Verity allowed herself a small smile. The Resolute was a research vessel, not a warship. There's a difference you should learn. Your primitive weapons could not even penetrate our tertiary shields, the Queen dismissed. We have studied your technology, primitive metals, rudimentary energy manipulation. You are barely spacefaring by Vexathi standards. Then why so interested in our quantum drive? Verity countered. The Queen's carapace flashed with patterns that the translation device couldn't interpret. When she spoke again, her tone had shifted. Your species has stumbled upon something unexpected. Share the complete schematics, and I may allow your crew to live as servants rather than food stock. I can't help you, Verity said truthfully. The drive specs were compartmentalized. No single crew member has full knowledge. Then piece by piece, we will extract what we need, the Queen declared. Beginning with your engineer, Farouk, I believe. Verity's blood ran cold. Chief Engineer Rajan Farouk was the architect of the quantum drive's containment system. He knows nothing of the quantum matrix, she bluffed. We shall see. The Queen's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. Our neural extractors are crude by necessity. Few survive the process intact, but we only need his memories, not his sanity. As Verity was escorted back to her cell, she caught sight of a viewport showing the vastness of space beyond. Somewhere out there, the Dauntless would be approaching, carrying with it humanity's response to those who saw their restraint as weakness. She only hoped the Vexati would live long enough to regret their miscalculation. Fleet Admiral Einar Volkov stood on the bridge of the UNDF Dauntless, his weathered face impassive as he studied the tactical hologram. At 73, he was the oldest active commander in the United Nations Defense Fleet, a living legend who had faced first contact, scenarios with 7 different species. None had ended like this. Quantum signature confirmed, Admiral, reported Strategic Officer Petra Novak. The Resolute's remnants are within the Vexati vessel. Bioscans detect 23 human life signs scattered throughout the structure. 23, Volkov repeated quietly. Out of 27, Lieutenant Commander Ryota Ikeda, his XO, stood at rigid attention beside him. The Vexati vessel is approximately 3 times our mass, but our scans indicate their weapons technology is less advanced, primarily Directed energy weapons with minimal kinetic capabilities. They didn't need advanced weapons against an unarmed research ship, Volkov noted bitterly. The Dauntless represented humanity's finest military technology, a Nemesis-class destroyer equipped with railguns, antimatter torpedoes, and the experimental Aegis defense grid. Yet Volkov knew better than anyone that technology alone didn't win battles. "We are within hailing range, Admiral," Communications Officer Lucia Reyes announced. "Open a channel." The view screen flickered, resolving into the image of a Vexati, with elaborate gold patterns embedded in its exoskeleton. "Unidentified vessel," the alien began. "You have entered territory claimed by the Orokai clutch of the Vexathi Imperium. State your purpose, or be fired upon." Volkov stepped forward, his voice calm but carrying the weight of 50 years of command. "This is Fleet Admiral Einar Volkov of the United Nations Defense Fleet vessel Dauntless. You are holding 23 human citizens against their will. Return them immediately, along with all human technology you have seized." The Vexathi's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sound the translation software identified as derision. "Another human vessel? Your weapons. Signature is more substantial, but still no match for Vexathi supremacy. Perhaps your ship will make a worthy addition to our collection." "You misunderstand," Volkov replied. "I'm not here to negotiate. Return our people within 1 standard hour, or I will be forced to retrieve them myself." The alien's compound eyes glittered. "You threaten the Vexathi Imperium? We who have conquered 12 star systems? We who have subjugated species far more advanced than yours?" Volkov's expression didn't change. 1 hour. He signaled for the transmission to end. "Tactical assessment?" he asked Novak. "Their shields are formidable, but our penetrator rounds should breach them within 3 salvos. The bioorganic nature of their hull makes it vulnerable to our thermite payloads. However," she hesitated. "Speak freely, officer." "The hostages are distributed throughout the vessel, sir. A direct assault risks significant casualties among our own people." Volkov nodded, "Which is precisely what they're counting on." He turned to Ikeda. "Prepare Infiltration Team Alpha. I want our ghost operatives ready in 30 minutes. They have jammers that prevent teleportation technology," Ikeda warned. "Then we'll use the old-fashioned way," Volkov replied. "Lieutenant Kuri, bring us alongside their propulsion array. Precise coordinates to follow." As the Dauntless maneuvered into position, staying just outside the Vexati vessel's weapons range, Volkov opened a secure channel to the ship's special operations bay. "Commander Nilsson, your team has 30 minutes to prepare for insertion. Our people have been captive for 17 days. Based on Commander Krause's broken arrow signal, we can assume the worst regarding treatment." On the screen, Ghost Commander Astra Nilsson nodded sharply, her cybernetically enhanced eyes glowing faintly. "Rules of engagement, sir?" Volkov's expression hardened. "The Vexati have violated 17 separate articles of the Galactic Concord. They've declared themselves beyond the jurisdiction of interstellar law." He paused. "Get our people out, whatever it takes." As the ghosts prepared for deployment, Volkov returned his gaze to the massive alien vessel. The Vexati thought humanity's adherence to laws of peaceful contact made them weak. They were about to learn about humanity's other laws, the ones written in blood and fire. Astra Nilsson's ghost team moved through the Vexati vessel like shadows, 6 enhanced operatives in adaptive camouflage suits that mimicked the bioluminescent patterns of the ship's corridors. Their neural implants processed the alien environment, identifying threats before they materialized. "Motion sensors ahead," sub-vocalized Ghost Lieutenant Mateo Cortez, his augmented vision highlighting invisible detection fields. "Bio-based, tracking air displacement." Astra signaled a halt, then retrieved a canister from her tactical vest. The swarm of microscopic drones it contained would temporarily disrupt the sensor's biological circuitry. 20 minutes until the Admiral's deadline," reminded Ghost Specialist Oksana Chernova, the team's medic and xenobiologist. Biosigns indicate the first group of captives is 2 levels down. They moved with practiced precision, encountering 2 Vexathi patrols, but avoiding engagement. The ship's layout was bewilderingly organic, corridors shifting subtly as though the vessel itself were breathing. When they reached the first holding area, Astra's targeting system identified Commander Kraus among 3 captives. 2 guards stood outside a membrane-like door that pulsed with bioelectric energy. "Non-lethal takedown," Astra ordered. "We need intelligence." Cortez and ghost sniper Kaleo Palakiko deployed sonic disruptors tuned to Vexathi neurological frequencies. The guards collapsed, their exoskeletons vibrating in distress. "Commander Kraus," Astra acknowledged as they breached the cell. "Admiral Volkov sends his regards." Verity's eyes widened with recognition. "Ghost protocol? The situation must be dire." "We have 17 minutes to extract 23 personnel before the Dauntless opens fire," Astra explained, handing Kraus a compact sidearm. "Can you move?" "Yes, but they've separated the crew throughout the ship and they've been interrogating Dr. Farouk about the quantum drive." "They're extracting information about the QED?" Astra's expression darkened behind her tactical visor. "Attempting to. Farouk has resisted, but—" Kraus's voice faltered. One of the other captives, Dr. Ozdemir, spoke up. "They're using neural extractors, primitive but effective. Brain damage is significant." Astra made a quick decision. "Cortez, Palakiko, continue with primary extraction plan. Get these 3 and the others in sections B and C to extraction point Alpha. Chernova, you're with me and Kraus. We're going after Farouk." The team split, with Astra's smaller group heading deeper into the ship. Kraus led them toward the research labs where she'd glimpsed Farouk during one of her interrogation sessions. "The Vexathi don't understand humans," Kraus said as they moved. "They see our diplomatic protocols as weakness. Our attempts at peaceful resolution as fear." "A common misconception among predatory species," Chernova noted, scanning the biochemical signatures around them. "They mistake restraint for inability." They encountered heavier resistance as they approached the research section. 3 Vexathi, warriors, blocked their path, chitinous armor gleaming under the bioluminescent light. "I've studied their physiology," Chernova said. "Weak points at joint articulations and sensory stalks." The ghosts moved with augmented speed, their combat systems calculating trajectories and vulnerabilities. The Vexathi were formidable, stronger than humans and protected by natural armor, but the ghosts had been enhanced specifically to overcome such advantages. In 20 seconds, all 3 aliens lay incapacitated. "Life signs stable," Chernova confirmed, "though I doubt they'll be happy when they wake up." Beyond the next membrane door, they found a laboratory filled with biological and mechanical components. Chief Engineer Farouk was strapped to an apparatus that connected to his skull through fine filaments. His eyes were open but unfocused, lips moving in silent equations. A Vexathi scientist turned in surprise, reaching for an alarm panel. Astra's stun round hit it before its appendage made contact. "Vital signs critical," Chernova reported, examining Farouk. "The neural extractor has caused hemorrhaging in his frontal lobe. We need to disconnect him immediately." As Chernova worked to safely remove the apparatus, Astra's tactical display flashed with a priority alert. Admiral Volkov's deadline had expired. "The Dauntless is commencing its attack run," she informed the others. "We have 7 minutes to reach extraction point Beta." Outside the lab, alarms began to sound, a discordant keening that resonated through the ship's organic structure. The Vexathi were finally realizing that the humans they'd dismissed as primitive had infiltrated their supposedly impenetrable vessel, and outside, the Dauntless was about to demonstrate exactly why humanity's warships were feared even by species centuries more advanced. The first salvo from the Dauntless struck with surgical precision, Advanced penetrator rounds designed specifically to disrupt shield harmonics tore through the Vexathi vessel's defenses, followed immediately by focused anti-proton beams that carved into its bioorganic hull. On the bridge, Admiral Volkov watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Target their weapons arrays only. This is a rescue operation, not annihilation. Sir, Strategic Officer Novak reported, our infiltration team has secured 17 captives and is en route to extraction. Points. Commander Nilsson's group is still retrieving Chief Engineer Farouk. The Vexathi ship returned fire, lances of emerald energy that the Dauntless evaded with surprising agility for its size. Where one beam did connect, the Aegis defense grid absorbed and dissipated the energy harmlessly. Their weapons technology is as our scans indicated, Lieutenant Commander Ikeda observed. Powerful, but predictable targeting algorithms. They've never needed to innovate, Volkov replied. Their size advantage has always been sufficient. He turned to Weapons Officer Torvik. Prepare thermite payload for their starboard propulsion. Array. Cripple. Don't destroy. The Dauntless shuddered as another Vexathi beam glanced off its reinforced hull. Incoming transmission, Communications Officer Reyes announced. The view screen activated to show the Vexathi Queen, her carapace patterns pulsing with what their xenobiologists had identified as rage. This attack is futile, the Queen declared. Our reinforcements approach. You will join your comrades in captivity. Volkov remained impassive. Your reinforcements are 3 hours away at their maximum speed. This will be over in 20 minutes. He leaned forward slightly. You should have respected our laws of contact. Laws are for the weak, the Queen chittered. The strong take what they need. A philosophy shared by many extinct species, Volkov countered. Our laws aren't shackles, Your Majesty. They're warnings. They exist because we once nearly destroyed ourselves. They remind us of restraint, not because we can't unleash devastation, but precisely because we can. As if to punctuate his point, the thermite payload struck the Vexathi ship's propulsion array. The exotic compounds ignited on impact, burning at temperatures hot enough to melt through the vessel's regenerative hull material. Secondary explosions cascaded through the engineering section. Their main power grid is fluctuating, Novak reported. Shields down to 30% capacity. The Queen's image flickered as her ship's systems faltered. What is this weapon? For the first time, uncertainty crept into the translation of her voice. Thermite, Volkov answered simply. A chemical reaction discovered by humans in the 19th century. Primitive by your standards, yet effective. The tactical display updated. Ghost Team Alpha had reached extraction point Beta with the remaining captives, including the critically injured Farouk. All personnel secured, Admiral, Ikeda confirmed. Extraction vessels returning to Dauntless. Volkov nodded. Deploy the marker buoy. Standard warning package. A small probe launched from the Dauntless, positioning itself near the crippled Vexathi ship. It would broadcast a warning to all approaching vessels in 200 languages, including the now translated Vexathi. This vessel violated Galactic Concord statutes regarding peaceful contact and imprisonment of sentient beings. Approach with caution. You're leaving? The Queen asked, mandibles twitching in confusion. You've disabled our primary systems. Our ship is defenseless. Yes, Volkov confirmed. Because unlike you, we abide by our laws, even when victorious. He stood straighter. The Galactic Concord will send representatives to discuss reparations and formal censure. I suggest you receive them more respectfully than you did our research vessel. As the Dauntless prepared to depart, the Queen's voice took on a different tone. Wait. Your weapons. Your infiltration technology. How did primitive humans develop such capabilities? Admiral, Volkov allowed himself a small, cold smile. We had excellent teachers, Your Majesty. Every species that ever underestimated us. Every civilization that mistook our diplomacy for weakness. every empire that thought our laws were a joke. He paused. They taught us to be ready for those who wouldn't listen to words. The transmission ended, leaving the Vexathi Queen staring at a blank screen as the human warship disappeared into FTL, carrying with it the survivors of the Resolute, and leaving behind a warning that would spread throughout the Vexathi Imperium: humans may come in peace, but they were prepared for war. 3 weeks after the Dauntless returned to Earth space, Commander Verity Krause stood at attention before the United Nations Space Command Council. Admiral Volkov stood beside her, his decorated uniform a stark contrast to her simple dress blues. And so, she concluded her testimony, the Vexathi Imperium has formally apologized for the misunderstanding and agreed to Galactic Concord arbitration. They've also returned all salvaged components from the Resolute, though not before attempting to reverse engineer our quantum entanglement drive, noted Counselor Amara Okafor, her holographic image flickering slightly from her lunar base. A technology they should never have known existed. Krause nodded solemnly. Yes, Counselor. Though Chief Engineer Farouk's resistance prevented them from extracting the critical containment protocols. At the mention of Farouk, a somber silence fell over the chamber. Despite the medical team's best efforts, the neural damage had been extensive. He remained in a specialized care facility, his brilliant mind fractured by the Vexathi extractors. What the Vexathi failed to understand, Admiral Volkov interjected, was the nature of the quantum drive itself. They believed they were stealing a propulsion system. Counselor Zhang leaned forward. They didn't realize its true purpose? No, Krause confirmed. The quantum entanglement drive was never meant for faster-than-light travel. That was our cover story. The Council Chamber's security protocols engaged, sealing the room from all external surveillance. What followed would never appear in official records. The QED is the culmination of Project Lighthouse, Krause continued, a quantum communication system capable of instantaneous, untraceable, and uninterceptable transmission across any distance. The backbone of our early warning network, Counselor Okafor added, and the cornerstone of humanity's defense strategy. Volkov's weathered face remained impassive. The Vexathi's actions have confirmed our worst fears. Despite the Galactic Concord's peacekeeping efforts, predatory species still view technological advantage as permission for conquest, which makes the Lighthouse network more crucial than ever, Counselor Zhang concluded. Outside the council chamber, Earth continued its daily rhythms, its citizens largely unaware of how close they'd come to losing their most important defense asset. The QED network, once completed, would connect every human settlement across 12 star systems, providing instantaneous warning of any aggression. Later that evening, Krause visited the memorial garden at UNDF headquarters, where a small ceremony honored the 4 crew members lost on the Resolute. As the holographic images of her fallen comrades shimmered in the twilight, she sensed someone approach. Commander, Admiral Volkov acknowledged, coming to stand beside her. The Council has approved your promotion to captain. The new research vessel Endeavor will be ready in 6 months, with enhanced defenses this time. Krause nodded. And Farouk? The neural regeneration specialists are cautiously optimistic. His implanted backup contained most of his critical memories. Volkov gazed at the memorial displays. He knew the risks when he volunteered for Lighthouse. We all did, she replied quietly. The Vexathi ambassador arrived today, Volkov said, after a moment. Quite different from the Queen, more diplomatic, less imperious. Apparently our encounter has triggered something of a political upheaval in their Imperium. The more progressive factions are gaining influence. Because we defeated them? Because we showed restraint in victory, Volkov corrected. After demonstrating what we could have done had we chosen destruction over rescue. He turned to face her. That's what they truly failed to understand about humanity's laws. They're not weaknesses or constraints. They're choices. Every day, we choose to be better than our capabilities would allow. As twilight deepened into night, Captain Krause contemplated the stars becoming visible overhead. Somewhere out there, word was spreading through the interstellar community. Tales of a human warship that had defeated a Vexati cruiser 3 times its size, of ghost soldiers who moved unseen through impenetrable defenses, of weapons both, primitive and devastating. But most importantly, of a species whose most powerful laws weren't the ones governing their diplomacy, but the ones governing their restraint. Laws that, when broken by others, revealed humanity's most fundamental truth. They came in peace, but they were forged in war, and woe to those who forced them to remember it.